Hey everyone, welcome to the last part of the course. Here we have all the colors of our palette. I know that we were talking about using not too much colors, but there were some times that we needed a different color that wasn't included in the color palette. So how did we solve this? So we select a color and change the tone without varying, without changing the pointer. So we could select another tone without but keeping the same color palette. So as I said before, the fewer colors, the better. So now we're going to apply the environment by default, the one called Startup. Because if we change it and apply this, for example, the entire lighting of the scene will be modified. We would have two panels and then we would have to change the brightness and modify other parameters to have a proper lighting. So in this case, don't worry because we are going to work with the Startup, which is a default environment. That's it. So now we need to bring down the brightness because we increased it before. And now we are going to modify the lights from this environment. So go to the HDRI editor and you will see a window like this where you can adjust some settings like the brightness. In the Pins tab, we can add lights to the environment. So if you click on the plus icon and select Add Pin, we can move the light and place it in the main spotlight, more or less over here, but we'll change it to a brighter color. Like, I don't know, this one. I like this one, okay? So we are going to make it bigger. And if you notice, we already see some changes in our scenes, right? If we exaggerate the brightness a little bit and make it bigger too, we'll see how our scene becomes reddish. The light will come from this side. If we move this light, it will come from a different point, right? In our case, we'll change the color to yellow, but a really smooth tone. So from the adjustments here, we can bring down the brightness of the main environment. That way, we'll only lighten up with the light we just set. If you have time, I recommend that you play around with the software to find out how it works. See how the light now is more personal, more intimate, like a theater scene. We can see like a spotlight coming from this direction. The main environment is darker, right? So let's change this, increase the environment brightness and decrease the light brightness, like that. Perfect. Reduce the brightness, perfect. So when you're happy with your environment, then you can add another pin to have more lights. We can set this blue light coming from the bottom, like this. Okay, add brightness and make it bigger. So the light should be here, more or less. Sometimes it's difficult to notice it, because if the tone is really bright, then it won't be visible. So if we darken the environment, it will be easier to see, to notice. So go to Pins and add more light, more brightness, and make it bigger. Also increase the brightness of the yellow and the size as well, okay? This way, we're just illuminating the scene with the light we just set, okay? So now what we're going to do, as I said at the beginning, we're going to add a lot of brightness to the main environment. And we are going to add this light, but not that exaggerated. So we are going to reduce the size, okay? We want this to be seen just a little bit, okay? So go back to adjustments and set these parameters. We don't want it to be so powerful. And the same with the blue one. Okay, reduce brightness and size. So let's increase the brightness to add more light. Again, we can modify it whenever we want to play around and see which one is the best one. And here is the color range, but it's not that important right now, okay? Perfect. But you know that we can change it later on in Photoshop, okay? To increase the saturation, brightness, or anything else. Perfect. So, okay, place the camera where you want and then go to render and click on render. Change the name of the still image and choose the place where you want to save it. In this case, at the desktop. And we're also going to set the size to 2000 by 2000. And automatically it will change to this other format, 2667 by 2000. So now move to the option and we'll leave the quality as it comes by default. Now we're going to leave it like this. And we are going to leave this parameter to 1 and 1. So finally, hit render and it will ask you if you want to save it or replace it. Select yes, and now just wait for the image to appear. So open the image in Photoshop and block the layer. Change the frame and crop the selection. Right. So this is the image we are going to get. At this point, we could end up the course here. I like the image we've created, the colors, but we could go further with the saturation, the contrast, or the brightness. So in order to do it in a non-destructive way, we could do all these changes, creating an adjustment layer. Here in the levels adjustment, move the sliders to adjust black and white and other parameters. A great thing here is in the adjustment layers that we can lower the opacity to make it smoother. We could also add a photography filter to make it warmer or colder. See, here we have different tones or colors. A warm filter with 7 or 50% density will look great, I think. Okay. Apart from the easy image here, I can show you another one I made, but with another color palette. It's the same image, but the house has a cartoon style, but it's a bit wider. I really like this one because of the framing. If you compare it to the previous one, you can see the differences. Just changing the camera you have in KeyShot and selecting orthographic, it changes a lot. So, this camera in KeyShot, and we select the orthographic camera, the result and the focus is completely different, right? Working with 3D gives us the chance to have different versions of the same image, changing like the illumination, the color palette, or the camera position. I've also played around with the materials in the second picture and found a crystalline material to apply to the water. You can check all the materials here in KeyShot. For example, you can apply glass to the water to get a similar look as this one. Great, it's really nice, right? Just, guys, I'm really happy with this image. But you can change anything you please, okay? So don't forget to save the image as PNG. So the project is finished and the course over. Guys, I really hope that you liked it. It's been a pleasure. Again, play around and create some other images using this course. So again, we can work with cinema, always working with primitives, and then adding materials in KeyShot. As I said, an advantage of working in 3D is getting different results from a single image. Well, guys, I hope that you like it and see you next time. Bye!